Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 30 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26. 1 month of overnight feeds. We're a third of the way there. About a third of the way there. And it certainly has been an exciting past few days that we've had. Now, yesterday, not as crazy as Thursday night, a little bit more, a lot of spinning of narratives, trying to do damage control, trying to reposition people's places in the house now that we have new people in charge this week. So we had a lot of that going on, preparations for the veto competition that'll be going on today, talk about that, and really just figuring out what they're going to do going forward with this regime change that we have. Just as a reminder, we've got Tucker as HOH. We did have nominations yesterday. Now, there were a lot of different names. Well, a lot of different combinations of names thrown out yesterday, but in the end, pretty standard, pretty expected. Tucker's nominations were Quinn and Brooklyn and Cam. Yeah, no surprises with any one of those three. But here's the kicker. 3 names listed. Wasn't really sure if we'd still have 3 names or if maybe the AIBB arena would go away. Apparently not. Tucker still put up 3 people. I assume that means we'll have a veto competition. Someone pulls himself off. We'll have an AIBB arena. Someone will pull themselves off. We'll still have a vote for 2 people Thursday, but means there's still 2 chances for these people to pull themselves off the block. So again, Quinn and Brooklyn and Cam are on the block. So who's the target? Well, that's a little bit different, interesting little situation. As we'll see in the feed, some of the discussions, the cover story, it seems like it's a cover story, is that Quinn is the primary target. There's certainly people telling others that Quinn is the primary target, but it also seems as though Brooklyn may be the actual primary target. Quinn just being a cover story. We got a few days before all this comes to a head with veto ceremonies and all that, so we'll find out. But yeah, Quinn or Tucker, Cam is basically in place just to try to maybe win a veto, win an AIBB arena to keep those 2 on the block. All right, let's talk about the feeds themselves. The nomination took place. Feeds came back around 4:30 or so Big Brother time yesterday. We'll start off with Tucker and Mackenzie, MJ talking to each other. Tucker is saying that he picked Brooklyn and Cam to help ensure that Quinn stays on the block, to make sure that Quinn can't win the veto or BBAI arena, pull himself off. So again, right now, as Tucker talks to Mackenzie, Quinn's the target. The other 2 up there just to make sure that Quinn stays on the block. He is saying that if the veto is used, that he may have to put Chemo up, maybe as a pawn, maybe as a target. Mackenzie's prodding him for information. What would you do if that was the case? And how do we handle Angela? How do we tell her stuff or not? And really asking Tucker for a lot of information. He's not saying a whole lot, just saying, I may put up Chemo. I've heard things, which makes me think maybe Chemo could even be the target. Just don't know. Yeah, so he's mentioning that. Mackenzie is talking about throwing T-Core and Chemo under the bus a little bit, saying, I just don't like Tucker, the people that try to ride people's coattails. Obviously, those 2 are riding your coattails. This kind of rubs me the wrong way. She's also talking about that, I think Tucker says that after Quinn goes home, that Cam is the next target. In other words, he's avoiding any mention of Chelsea or Brooklyn because he knows that MJ has been going back and talking to Brooklyn and Chelsea after some of their conversations, which means all of this talk about Quinn being the target, Chemo going up as a potential renom, don't believe any of it. It's all being said by Tucker for Mackenzie's benefit, with the assumption that she'll go back and spill the beans to Brooklyn and Chelsea at some point going forward. So yeah, don't believe anything that Tucker is saying at this point in time. All right, we do have a little bit later Chelsea and MJ talking to each other. Chelsea is, this is a little bit more about the veto competition. Chelsea is saying that Brooklyn had told her that she thinks the veto competition today could be the prize punishment veto comp. Remember, someone wins, you take a prize, the next person can keep it or exchange it, and until finally at the end, the last person lots of times picks the veto, but there's also trips and $5,000, and there's usually a punishment costume, a couple other punishments. Brooklyn is thinking that it could be that kind of veto competition today. Possibly. It could be. So I'll ask y'all that question. Y'all tell me in your comments. Who would you most like to see get a punishment? Say wear a punishment costume around the house for the next week. I think it'd be kind of fun to watch Tucker have to wear a costume, or to watch Angela have to wear a costume. Oh, she's in the have not room, and yeah, but I think she would have fun with it, wearing a costume. Watching Brooklyn have to do something like that would be fun, because I think Brooklyn is going to be stressed out all week, and it would just probably irritate her even more. And I want to have someone who either has a lot of fun doing the punishment, or someone who is just miserable doing it, one or the other. So I'm kind of thinking Tucker, Angela, or Brooklyn, perhaps. Now, we don't know. It may be that competition. It may not. We'll find out. All right. We've got T-Core and Chemo talking about what they're going to do going forward at this point after they made this big flip. T-Core saying that she feels really guilty for hurting so many people. I think she said something like, I knew I was Cedric, I was hurting one person, but I hadn't really thought it through. That I actually was hurting 5 people, Cedric and the 4 people that were kind of the other people in the Pentagon. She's saying, I just feel so guilty for hurting this many people. Now, here's the thing. As I watched T-Core talk to different people throughout the day yesterday, I think some of it was strategy, some of her smoothing over relationships, using that social game that she's pretty good at. I think there was certainly strategy in T-Core talking to people and apologizing and talking about how much she hated the way it went down and all that. But I also truly believe that she's just a very empathetic person, that T-Core does not like hurting people. And the emotional side of this game is she's having difficulty with. And that's not a bad thing, that you're empathetic and don't like hurting people. You have to kind of push it to the side when you're playing Big Brother. But I think T-Core is just very empathetic, but there's also some strategy with it as well. But she's talking about how she's feeling guilty about that. She's recognizing, though, that all of these people that she's talked to and that she'll be talking to, they're all complaining about how she hurt them. Not telling me just really hurt me, T-Core, and all that. But she's recognizing that everyone's telling her how much they hurt her, but no one's really acknowledging or apologizing or even seeming to be aware that they have hurt T-Core over the past few weeks by not doing things to include T-Core in decision-making and alliances, things like that. I think T-Core is a little upset that she wasn't made part of the Pentagon when so many other people were. And so she's saying, they're saying I hurt them, but they don't even care that maybe they hurt me as well. So she's noticing that as well. She's talking about all the times they didn't make her part of a group or decision. All right, we've got Quinn and T-Core and Chemo talking a little bit. Quinn is complaining that being a super fan has caused him so much trouble, saying, I just didn't want to hide it. And they're saying, well, people would tell, and people like having super fans, so it's probably good you didn't hide it, and it's fine. But he's saying, but it caused me a lot of issues. Meanwhile, a little bit later, Joseph is talking to Tucker and talking about how bad Quinn is at being a super fan, saying, he doesn't know any of this stuff. I have to correct him on his BB trivia all the time. Quinn's not the super fan that he claims that he is. 2 super fans going head to head. Maybe we'll get that somewhere down the road. Quinn's complaining about how the difficulties of being a super fan. I think part of the difficulties is you've got a little bucket list of things that you want to do, and it seems like you're forcing it as a result sometimes. But he's talking about that. Quinn is asking T-Core, saying, hey, was it just spur of the moment, just a last minute decision to make this flip? And T-Core saying, oh, yeah, just last minute. I didn't really think about it until that very last minute, and it just seemed like the thing to do. They talk a whole lot about it. But she's saying, spur of the moment, Quinn. That's why we didn't tell you. That's why it was such a, just such a surprise blindside. I hadn't thought about it at all. Quinn is saying, well, it was the least optimal move possible. He's saying, if I'd known, I could have worked with y'all a lot more. I could have talked to Rubina. We could have made it go so much smoother. So Quinn, just like Brooklyn and Chelsea and everyone else, is basically saying, I would have been fully on board with the flip. I would have been your biggest cheerleader if you just told me I could have made it better. The last thing I wanted to do was get rid of Rubina. So, Quinn is saying, if you just let me know, I could have smoothed it all over and made it so much better. Quinn is feeling good about his chances this week. Yes, he's on the block, but the fact that they still have 3 people on the block, and he's realizing he still has 2 chances to pull himself off. So he's saying it could be worse. It could be a whole lot worse. He's thinking he may be okay. He may be better than okay, because again, as I mentioned, he isn't the primary target. It truly seems like he may skate by. Doesn't mean his games doesn't have a whole lot of pitfalls and hazards on down the road. But for this week, Quinn may be okay. All right, we've got Chemo and Quinn and T-Core talking some more. Quinn is saying that he's hurt. He said it just spurred, when it first happened, he said it kind of hurt because I felt like the two of y'all chose Tucker over me. And obviously that's always good. Remember, we've got the visionaries, Quinn and Tucker and Chemo. So they did have this alliance of three. And we had heard Tucker saying that he really wanted to ride to the very end with these two. So I think he's being honest when he says it just kind of hurts. It feels like y'all did maybe go with Tucker instead of me. He's also talking about the fact that he has a little bit of a fear about talking to Tucker. He'd like to clear things up, but he's a little bit worried about talking to Tucker and mentioning the collective or the Pentagon alliances, because he says, if I do that, and then Tucker goes and tells Chelsea and Brooklyn and Cam that I told him about this, well, now they're going to be upset with me. And then I've got absolutely nothing, because he says right now, for better or worse, I got those three and just barely with that. If they get upset with me, I've got no one in the house. Perhaps that's a little truthful. It could be truthful, but at the same time, it's also a bit of a strategy of Tucker trying to make sure that everyone understands it. At this point in time, he's got no alliances, no one to depend on. There's other people that still have connections. Not me. So why come after me? I got no one at this point. He's mentioning that he's upset with Leah. He says, I talked to Leah for a week. She never told me anything about this flip. I'm a little upset that she could have at least told me something. So he's a little perturbed at that. He's saying that Joseph, if it comes down to it, Joseph won't stick his neck out for Quinn. And he's saying that none of the group will save him over Chelsea or Cam. He's saying if I'm up on the block against either one of them, they're all voting me out. I truly have no one at all. Brooklyn, I don't know, but Chelsea or Cam, yeah, I'm gone. So he is making sure they're aware of that. All right, later we've got Quinn talking to Rubina, covering some of the same information. He's saying, I would love to have a conversation with you and Chemo and T-Core, but also with Tucker. I'd like to clear everything out. So he's kind of some of the stuff he's already talked about before, wants to go ahead and have the conversation with Tucker. A little bit of spin and damage control to Tucker himself. Rubina's saying, yeah, I think that'd be fantastic. I think it would be a great thing to do. T-Core and Chemo are going to be all for it because they've been trying for the last week to get Tucker and Quinn back together. So yeah, everyone's on board to have this conversation between Quinn and Tucker take place. All right, we've got Quinn talking to Rubina and Chemo a little bit. This is all taking place in the pedal room. People kind of in and out a little bit, but Quinn talking to Rubina and Chemo saying, Quinn is saying that they were in this big alliance. This is to Rubina. He's basically talking to. He's saying we were in this big alliance, but he knew that Chemo and T-Core were at the bottom, so he was telling them everything. He didn't like being in the Pentagon. Remember, he was in the Pentagon. Chemo and T-Core were not. He's saying, I did not like being in the Pentagon with Cedric and Chelsea and Cam, but when I'm in there, what am I going to do? So he's kind of telling Rubina about all this. He's saying, or I think Rubina said, well, does the big group, does the collective, do they still think that, she said big group, but really Pentagon. Do they still think that you're with them? And Quinn says, yeah, they do. They think I'm still with them, that I'm isolated from all of y'all, and that, that I have no one else but them. And therefore, yes, they think I'm still with them. He's also saying that Joseph is still a part of that group over there because he's an opportunist. He's telling Rubina some of the background of the collective, talking about Joseph basically starting it up. That's the alliance they talked to Angela about on that Friday night, that Angela didn't believe that it was a real alliance, that talked about the bad movie budget or low budget movie actors and all. He said that was us trying to tell Angela about the alliance. So he's given Rubina a little background at this point in time. He's thinking that after conversations with the other side, if the other side wins the HOH, it's going to be Tucker and Rubina and either Chemo or Rubina, or who else do I have? Or Quinn, I think, or T-Core. It'd be either T-Core, Chemo, or Rubina. Probably then. Now, Tucker and Rubina on the block, and then the third one would be either Chemo or Quinn or or T Corp. I don't know. Yeah, we may not have 3 by next week, but basically he's saying, the other side's going to be coming after you, Rubina. They're going to be coming after Tucker, and then one of the rest of us will go up on the block as well. So in other words, he's trying to make it positioned with him, not part of that group. That they're gonna be coming after you, not me. They're planning to explain all of this to Tucker later. Again, everyone's all on board to have that conversation. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. Chemo is worried because he kept hearing his name mentioned as a potential pawn going up. But his fear is that people maybe wanted him to go up as a pawn, but then flip and send him out the door, similar to what happened to Cedric. So he's feeling a little insecure about everything that's been talked about here for the past 24 hours or so. This was just Tucker misdirecting. This was just him feeding MJ and other folks on the other side a little bit of false information. I think Chemo is safe. There shouldn't be any issue. No one's going to be flipping on him, but Chemo heard his name, and so now he's a little nervous because of that. All right, we've got Mackenzie, MJ and Chelsea talking. MJ is saying that Cam is a bigger threat than Quinn, or that Cam isn't as big a threat as Cam. She's saying, look at how well Quinn did on that wall competition. We all look at Cam as being this big physical threat and all that. She said, Quinn's the one. Quinn is a much bigger threat against everything. So we just need to make sure everyone else is aware of it. Sometimes coming in second place on some of these comps is not the best place to finish because Quinn did do pretty well on that. And I tend to agree. Quinn seems like physical competitions, skills, it just seems like I would be a lot more worried about Quinn than I would Cam in terms of winning any of this stuff. So Mackenzie's pointing that out. All right, we've got Angela. Up and down for Angela. So why should anything change? Angela crying a little bit yesterday, just feeling very down. She didn't get any sleep. She talked about sleeping as a have-not room on that hard bed. Not bed, it's a hard platform. That she just didn't get any sleep. She's feeling bad. She's crying. She's laying on the floor, just not feeling great. It is her birthday today, so hopefully things change a little bit. But she's not doing real well yesterday. All right, we've got Brooklyn saying that she's not planning to campaign because she knows that she's got 2 chances to get herself off the block. That after the veto ceremony, if she's still up there, well, yeah, then maybe she'll do some campaigning just in case she doesn't win BBA Arena. But for now, she's not going to be doing a lot of campaigning. Well, I feel like she's been doing a lot of campaigning for the second the Cedric walked out the door. We'll call it damage control, but basically it is campaigning that she's doing already. But she's saying she's not going to do any of that. All right, we've got Tucker and Joseph talking. Joseph is really kissing up to Tucker. Final 2, man, I got your back, and the best thing that ever happened in the world. He's telling Tucker that Quinn will come after Tucker if he gets a chance. Tucker mentioned something about that, and Joseph said, oh yeah, absolutely, he'll come for you. He says, but at the same time, Quinn's probably not going to come directly for you, Tucker. He'll try to get other people to do it and all of that. He wants you gone, but he'll try to get other people to do it. And he's saying, I think that I should be able to convince Quinn that keeping you in this game is actually better for Quinn's game. So not all hope is lost, Tucker. I can make things happen. And Tucker's saying, oh, that'd be fantastic. Go for it. That'd be great. Tucker is thinking that Brooklyn, as much as he's got a beef with Quinn and all that, Tucker's thinking that Brooklyn is way more dangerous at this point in the game. I don't know if that's because he sees Quinn as not having as tight a connection, or as opposed to Brooklyn with Chelsea and Cam. I'm not sure what the thinking is completely, but Tucker's saying Brooklyn's the one I want out. She's the one that's more dangerous. Joseph is agreeing, saying she hates me. She can't stand my guts. I want her out immediately. I got no problem at all with that, Tucker. Tucker's saying in a perfect world, and of course everything's a perfect world in Tucker's eyes, that Tucker is going to win the veto. He's going to take off Quinn from the block. He's going to put up Chelsea. So now we'll have Chelsea and Cam and Brooklyn on the block. And at that point, he's going to tell them that he knows everything about the alliances, about them working against him, about them being the core group. He's going to go to town and let them know everything. I kind of hope he does. Wouldn't that be fun to watch? Oh, that's great. At one point, I can't remember who asked him, I was talking a little bit about the alliance, and Tucker saying, yeah, I'm sure they're an alliance. I wonder what their alliance name was. I'm sure Cedric was probably part of it as well, but Chelsea and Brooklyn and who am I missing here? Chelsea and Brooklyn and Chelsea, Brooklyn, and get a little my it's been a late night. Brooklyn, Chelsea, and Cam. And I'm sure the three of them were in an alliance along with Cedric. I don't know what their name was. He says probably the three blind mice. That's the name that they deserve. I can't believe I could think of that. Anyway, but yeah, he's saying he's going to tell him he knows everything if he can just win this veto. He also says at one point he'd like to keep the veto exactly the way it is. But if he controls it, then he may put up Chelsea in place of Quinn. Joseph is telling Tucker, saying, look, even if Quinn sticks around, he truly has no one. So, it's not going to hurt us too much as long as he doesn't win HOH. Other than that, it's not going to hurt us because he doesn't have any power because he's got no one on his side. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking. Chemo is saying that Tucker is still trying to decide if a renom is necessary, if someone pulls himself off of the veto. Chemo is saying that Tucker's still trying to decide, would it be Mackenzie or would it be Chelsea that goes up as the renom? They both would prefer Mackenzie. That's the way they want to see it. Well, based on what Tucker just said, it may be Chelsea, but they're thinking they really want to talk to Tucker, try to convince him to make it MJ instead. T-Core definitely has talked about how much she wants to protect Chelsea by all means. So she's going to put the hard press on Tucker if that was to happen based on the results of today's veto comp. She does, Tucker. T-Core is also saying that she wants to talk to Brooklyn. She wants to clear her conscience with her. Again, she's just feeling bad that she didn't tell all these people about a flip. That's what flips are all about. That's what blind sides are all about, T-Core. It's part of playing the game of Big Brother. All right, we've got Chelsea and Brooklyn talking to each other. Brooklyn saying that if she gets a chance, if her chip is drawn in the veto draw this morning, she's going to pick Joseph to play veto for her. Wouldn't that be interesting? But she wants to pick Joseph to play for her. Chelsea is planning to put up Brooklyn wants to pick Joseph to play veto for her. Chelsea wants to put Joseph on the block. She's saying if I was to win HOH, I would put up Joseph and Leah or T-Core. Not sure. At first she says Leah and Chemo, but then she says, nah, I'd put up T-Core on the block if I win HOH because T-Core hasn't even apologized to me. She said at least Chemo had the balls to come up and apologize to me for the way things went down Thursday night. Way too many people feeling like they're entitled to apologies this week. But she's saying, yeah, T-Core hadn't even done that. So I'm putting T-Core up against Joseph if I get the chance. Brooklyn is saying that she has given T-Core every possible chance to apologize to her, and she hasn't taken advantage of it. Brooklyn is saying that anytime she is sad, she just thinks of Joseph's ugly face. Let's not be petty. Let's not go after body shaming, face shaming, anything else, Brooklyn. It's not a good look on you, my friend. I hated to see that. But Brooklyn is just feeling a little betrayed, bitter, petty. I don't know. Well, not a good. Don't be talking about ugly people's faces or anything in this game, Brooklyn. But she's saying that anytime she's sad, she just looks at it, thinks about his face, and it just makes her even more mad. Chelsea is saying that she's frustrated by Joseph because Joseph led the collective, tried to be the leader with it, and then he flipped on him. He abandoned him. It's like being the captain of the Titanic who takes the first lifeboat off the ship or something, I guess. And she's not liking the fact that Joseph kind of left them high and dry on this thing. Of course, if it's Titanic, you weren't really left high and dry, just the opposite, right? But yeah, she's not happy with that. She says that she wants to call him out publicly if she got a chance. She says she'll kill him with her words, but in a classy way. She'll use class as she calls him out and kills him with her words. Seems like a passive aggressive type of approach, but yeah, she wants to make sure in public that everyone knows kind of what the snake is that Joseph is in her opinion. Chelsea is saying that her only goal right now is to protect Brooklyn. Brooklyn's on the block. Chelsea's not. Chelsea may have to worry about some other things depending on what happens on Monday. But for right now, her goal is just to protect Brooklyn. She's saying, even Cam, if he has to go, whatever. I'm here to protect you, Brooklyn. Both of them are talking about how great their speeches are going to be. I thought they were talking about potential eviction speeches, but no, they're thinking way ahead. They're talking about They need to be in the final two seats because they are going to just have phenomenal final two speeches against you. You got a little work to do before you get there, ladies. They're talking about Tucker's strategy. It seems like to take all the strong players away. They're saying Cedric was strong, Matt was strong, Lisa. Well, Matt and Cedric were strong, but no, they're saying that it seems like Tucker's strategy is to, and I'm poking fun at Lisa. I think she actually could have done a whole lot more if she had more time in the house. But now they're saying that Tucker's strategy is to take all the floaters with him to the very end, people he can easily control. And they just don't like that strategy. Chelsea is saying that Tucker can't handle a mental competition. They just need to get him in a mental comp, and then the game's over. All right, we've got T-Core and Rubina and Chemo all thinking that Tucker needs to get over his beef with Quinn. If they can do that, then maybe they can make some things happen. So again, the same narrative we've heard from T-Core and Chemo for a while, and now Rubina's on board as well. Maybe we'll get these two back together. They aren't ever going to trust each other, but maybe they can temporarily work a little bit together. Stranger things have happened in the game of Big Brother. All right. Remember Brooklyn complaining so much about T-Core? Well, T-Core picked up on it, I assume, because T-Core is now apologizing to Brooklyn for the way everything went down, for not telling her ahead of time about the flip and all that. Brooklyn is talking about what a predicament it has put her in, that T-Core didn't at least tell her about this. She's saying now it's hurting my game. I'm on the block because of this. T-Core really putting the guilt trip on her and saying, I hope if it comes down to it that I've got your vote. And T-Core saying, oh, yeah, you got my vote. So, yeah, Brooklyn trying to extract some commitments out of T-Core's guilty feelings. All right, we've got Tucker and Rubina and Chemo and T-Core talking. Tucker is talking about Angela's feeling bad and nervous about being a have-not, getting no sleep on those beds. She can't celebrate her birthday, or at least she can't celebrate it with wine and cake and things like that. So, yeah, he's feeling a little bad for Angela right now. Tucker's saying he's still not sure if he would actually use a veto on Quinn. He talked about it earlier, right? He's not sure if he'd really do that, or would he go ahead and just leave Quinn up there. We'll find out on Monday, I suppose. All right, we've got Joseph and Quinn talking to one another. Joseph saying he just wants to figure out a way to keep Quinn safe. Remember, when he's talking to Tucker, he was kind of throwing Quinn under the bus a little bit, but at the same time, he also was certainly doing what he could to make it seem like Quinn isn't the primary target. So I think Joseph is still probably serious about trying to work with Quinn going forward. I think Joseph is smart enough to know that if he just absolutely did everything to try to protect Quinn, Tucker would pick up on it. If he badmouths Quinn just enough, but throws in enough but and what ifs and things like that to Tucker, then maybe he can provide some shielding to Quinn. So he's telling Quinn that, saying, like, I'm trying to figure out a way. I think there's still a possibility to keep you safe this week. All right, we had a nice little moment. We had Mackenzie and Leah decorating the bumper pool room, the fish tank room or whatever, upstairs for Angela's birthday. They spent a lot of time, considering that at the end they just had a few streamers up. But you work with what you can inside the Big Brother house, and they didn't have a lot to work with, but they did decorate upstairs. They had a whole little display downstairs. Again, Angela's not going to be able to enjoy her birthday cake, so they're going to hold on. They actually said, let's hide the birthday cake mix. Let's not even put it out there where she'll notice it. We'll do everything else. We'll do the cake once she's out. So they were just being nice, which is fantastic. I mean, I say just being nice. Everything has an ulterior motive in the game of Big Brother. Mackenzie certainly had her own beef with Angela because of Matt and all that earlier. So she's trying to smooth things over, and I'm sure that's part of it. But I think they just saw Angela having a bad day, and they wanted to prepare for birthdays. Birthdays inside the Big Brother house, it does seem like, based on my season, seems like the one time where people can forget about HOH rooms and birthdays. You can forget about the game for just a few minutes and just come together as people for a little while. And so that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Angela's Saturday a little bit brighter by getting ready for her birthday. So they decorate for Angela's birthday. All right, we've got Chelsea and Mackenzie a little bit later talking to each other. Chelsea is saying that she's gunning for Tucker. Absolutely. She's saying that if Brooklyn is still here after this week, they can start an alliance, and she's talking about her and Brooklyn and Mackenzie. Mackenzie, being a lone wolf for as long as she has. She was looking for anyone to attach herself to. And as this blindside took place, as people are abandoning ship with the Pentagon and collective, even though it may not be the dominant alliance right now in terms of power and majority numbers, Mackenzie does see this as an opportunity to at least latch on to someone. May not be a bad idea. If she's working with Brooklyn and Chelsea, hopefully from her standpoint, they are bigger targets than she is. So even if the other side has power, hopefully they're going after someone other than Mackenzie. If the other side, if Chelsea and Brooklyn and Cam do get power back, well, now Mackenzie theoretically is protected if they truly have brought her in. Risky strategy, but I understand the strategy, Mackenzie. So yeah, she's talking to Chelsea and saying, yeah, we'll Chelsea saying Brooklyn and you and me, if Brooklyn can just survive, we'll maybe make that the plan. Quinn is they're saying Quinn cannot win the veto tomorrow because if Quinn wins, he takes himself off the block, and at that point, Chelsea or Mackenzie, one or the other, may go up on the block instead. So they don't want Quinn to win tomorrow. Chelsea is saying how badly she wants Chemo out of the house, if at all possible. She's calling Angela a very emotional player, which irritates her. We've got Mackenzie saying that Quinn could win HOH. If he does win HOH, he could put up Tucker and Angela and Rubina. And that way, they've got those people as targets, but the blood's not on their hands. It's all on Quinn again. So trying to figure out scenarios going forward. Finally, we've got Tucker and Rubina in the HOH bed with the lights out. Really not any game talk. They're talking about when they first saw each other, they knew they were going to be friends. And when they first saw each other in the house, talking about injuries, slip disc, just non-game type stuff. But they do spend some time just cuddling in the bed. Now, I believe I saw Rubina sneaking away from that bed a little bit later. I'm not sure she stayed up there all night long. I was trying to watch a little bit later and just couldn't tell because of the camera position. But I think Rubina eventually left and left Tucker up in the HOH room by himself. Eventually lights out around 3 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. They called it a night. That's early for these house guests. They're all getting ready for the veto competition today. So there you have it. So we're going to have the veto competition. Could it be the punishment reward comp? It could be. It could be Bowl-O-Rama. It could be a lot of things right now. So we will find out. And once we know who's been picked, once we know who's won the veto, things will start falling into place as far as who's going to be on the block come Thursday. So guys, enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy every single bit of it. I will be back tomorrow morning to give you a recap on who won the veto, what the repercussions are. But until then, have a great one. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.